Hi guys, let's talk about enlightenment today. When I say enlightened, I imply in being IN, light, inside of me. And it is hard to walk that path, especially when we have this idea that enlightenment looks like looking pretty, saying Om, and visioning world peace and being world peace all the time. But to walk the path of finding your own light requires trudging through the darkness. And it is painful and it sucks. And there's realities that you have to learn about yourself that you don't want to see in yourself. But I'm here today to give you the courage to walk down the path to your own enlightenment, because it is calling and it doesn't look like what you think it should. All of the shoulds that you project onto other people about what they should do, and the shoulds that you project onto yourself about what you should do, there's not a formula for what this looks like. But one thing I know for certain, that everybody who walks the path of stepping into their own light and recognizing what they are goes through a period that feels a lot like hell. So, that being said, there's this relationship that we have with our bodies that require us to recognize what our bodies are for when we're walking this path. And being somebody who's raised on shame, that the body was no good unless it looked like this, unless you did this, if it wasn't lazy, yada, yada, yada. Fatigue meant laziness. The body became my enemy. So, of course, by the age of 19, I was told to give my oncologist a call. And I was also pregnant at the time and newly recovering. And it made perfect sense to me, because I had a very rare kind of precancer, why I got it where I did. And that's a story for another time. But the result of being told at the age of 19, pregnant and a newly recovering junkie, was that my relationship with my body had to change. Because I knew that if I wasn't living, I was dying. And my body was the thing that was going to help me live if I was going to do this. And I was always kind of hiding on the inside, going like, oh, somebody please come get me, like beg me to come out and share myself with the world, because I'm not worthy of being seen. Like I was hiding so far into myself. And stepping in to your own light, I'm sure there's a lot of you that can relate to that, feels like the same process of like stepping back into yourself and going, oh, I'm not worth being seen, and oh, she said this, so I should probably change that, and oh, I don't know who I am. All those steps backwards that you take away from yourself over the process of like being born into the world of adulthood. Stepping into your light is the reverse of that, and it feels almost as painful to acknowledge all of the things and undo all of the ways that you've hidden in the past, and own your responsibility in the reality that like you never had to hide. That's a painful reality in and of itself. Like, dude, you don't have to hide. You can come out and play. Nobody's stopping you. And it feels so easy to be like, well, I can't because of this. I'm here to say, walk this path, because everything that's standing in your way is not the world's bullshit. It's your own. And it was my own. So the body, what most people don't understand is that we think that we're like living inside of a body, like our soul is inside of the body, but the body is actually inside of your soul. Your energetic body is much larger than your physical body. So the energetic body is actually commanding the body. Every disease that we have, every thought that we think, all of the places where we choose to get diseases, or how we manifest illnesses, the way that our body needs to take a break. If you say, oh, I need a break from living, and then your body, like you get a broken bone or whatever, that is your subconscious directing the body, okay? So if you feel very thin, you're going to feel very thin on the inside, whether you're thin or not. Across the board, this is not about body image so much as it is recognizing what the body is for. And the body is for you to experience yourself in your relationship with the divine as a creative being. So in spirit, we are in spirit much longer than we are in a body. And we only get this particular body one time, okay? Maybe for eternity, depends on how you look at it. But right here, right now, we get this experience and we can submerge ourselves in it fully in the body. We require the body to do that. The body becomes the vehicle for experiencing yourself rather than the enemy that is attacking yourself, right? We need the body on the path of the quest to finding our own light. And we can call that enlightenment. We can call it just, therapy, whatever. Call it what you want. But to know yourself fully in your light requires that you address what the body actually is in this process so that you can experience yourself being in the body and you can create in physical form. Right? Because we're in spirit longer than we are in the body, but when we come in the body, because we are densified matter, we can then create for the first time, in a very long time probably, in a physical way. We can create with physical matter, physical form. So all we are is densified energy, right? And we're like compact into this one thing. And if the energy of us that's a little bit like kind of on the outskirts of us, like the idea of meditation is to center that, to pull in all of that energy that we are dispersed all across time and space, where we want to exit the body, where we want to exit this situation, this life, blah, 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 blah. We meditate to bring all of that into one solid mass right around our body and soak ourselves in that, because most of us are so consumed by what other people are saying, what other people are thinking, all of the projections of other people. Projections are powerful. And especially if you're a sensitive person, if somebody's projecting something onto you, you can't tell which is what. And then we end up believing what that person is projecting rather than soaking in the essence of what and who we actually are. Oftentimes we escape and our energy body like exit the building for a little bit. But meditation pulls all of that in. That being said, it feels like hell sometimes to be in a body. It feels like we're trapped in a terrifying place and all we're going to do is die. But we're here to live into that body and to experience ourselves in that body. And I don't mean ourselves as this physical body that's like, this is me, this body, this job. I mean ourselves as in the us that sits around waiting for somebody to come out and get it. I mean the us that says like, I'm in here, somebody see me. The us that says like, I see you, can you see me in here? The us that's looking to connect. When we can connect to that person in ourselves, which is like us backwards almost, because we often think like the body is us, and we're trying to like connect outward. If we can reverse that thought, which is I am the me I'm trying to find on the inside, not the me that's like flesh and bone, because this flesh and bone is going to be gone. But the soul that talks, that has a whisper, that asks you to come and get it and live into it fully, that's embodiment. When your soul is like all here all the time, like I'm creating, that's embodiment. And every single person has the capacity to do that, but only so long as we're willing to open the floodgates of what feel like are going to be our own hell. And ultimately, it leads us to heaven. So the relationship with the body is also a relationship with the energy body. And when you go, I'm disgusting, I don't fit in, blah, blah, blah. The self that is experiencing that is a different self. It's an egoic self, is a different self than the self that is always present. That's like lives inside, compact, both of them, the physical body, the energy body, the emotional body, them always being there, the identity of the spirit that you are, is a witness to that other self going, I don't fit in, I'm ugly, I don't belong, I should change this about myself, and then get caught up in the rat race of like who and how I'm supposed to be. There are two different aspects of two actually different selves. So one is the light, right? One is the light that we want to walk into. That's always there, never ending, totally compact, always accessible. But we can't see it because often we're so far out in our own dark that we have to like go through hell to get back there. That other part, though, of ourselves. That's like, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I don't fit in, this girl's a bitch, I'm judging this. All of those things that keep us actually disconnected from engaging in life rather than connected to it. Those are aspects of the ego. And the ego is just the dark, dude. Like, the ego is the absence of what we are. So if you could consider, like, I look at enlightenment as this collective pursuit, but if you can consider enlightenment looking like a star, all of us, every single one of us, would contribute to this star, and we would all come together as the whole that we are. Ego is the darkness, that's the absence of the whole. It's almost like we're like lost in space when we're stuck in our egos, and our light is like trying to find the star of who we all are together, which I believe is the entity of Creator. All of us together in spirit and other dimensions, whatnot, we are all the entity of Creator. So there's oneness for you in my book. Enlightenment requires all of us to stand together in our own light and walk toward the light. And sometimes we're so far out in the dark, it's so scary to get back. It's so scary to go, like, I don't even know if I'm going to belong there. And like, do I even like the light? Like, isn't it fun to fucking play in the dark? It's tempting. It's not worth it. So that, to say I'm going to play in the dark for a while because I am so used to the dark is a different thing than like, okay, I have to literally like step through this dark and all of my power and say like, I am moving out of this space and into the light of all of us, of myself. It requires being radically honest. And it's so scary. People might even say it's terrifying. Most people won't do it. Most people don't have vagina to do it. Everyone says grow some balls, but grow a vagina is just as efficient in my book. Most people don't have the bravery to step through those places in themselves, to pull themselves forward into the light of themselves. So I'm here to say, when it feels like shit, keep doing the work, because the work is the only thing that is going to guide you to create what you were here to create. And I'm not talking about being an artist. I'm not talking about, being a rock star. I'm talking about the life that you know that you belong in, that's calling you and asking for you, and you're going, but I don't know if I don't know if I deserve it, or like, I just shouldn't believe it because I don't want to be disappointed. If it's calling you, answer the call. Okay? And it's going to feel like hell sometimes. And it's awkward. And you stumble. And you retract. And then you go, oh my God, I have this, like, what Brene Brown would call a vulnerability hangover. Like, I can't believe I just was honest with that person or with myself. It feels sometimes like total shit. But it's the same thing as, like, having to kill your dog if you knew that it was suffering out in the middle of the wilderness and you had a gun, right? And you had to walk pretty far back home. It feels like shit. It's the same thing as, committing to the value of, I'm piss poor right now, and this lady at the cash register just gave me back way more money than she was supposed to, and turning around and giving it back to her instead of, which is in trust of what's coming next, which is I'm in value with the light that I choose to see in the world. I'm choosing to stay here. It feels like shit sometimes. And it feels so uncomfortable that you don't trust it because your fear is the only thing that you ever trusted. And I'm telling you that the light is here now. And it's not at the end of the tunnel. It's the thing that you choose to identify with. And it's so hard when you're so far away from it to get inside of it and to see it from the outside. But what I am more encouraging you to do is believe that you are in there and that you are worth seeing. Because the world wants to see you. We need to see you. You are done hiding. And you know it. You know who you are. So, there's that for the day. What I decided to do was I'm going to do a whole help from yourself online video course like this. It's going to be free. So this is the very beginning of it, just like tapping you in, all of those who made it to the end of this video, tapping you in to a little bit about what I'm about, what I believe we're about as a collective, and who you can be. And my hope for you is that at the end of watching all of these segments, that you have cleared yourself enough to create the life that you want, the life that is waiting for you. So if you were guided here by somebody else, welcome. If you are one of my students in the college classroom, or you have been at my workshops, or you've followed my writings, what I am, besides totally being myself, is I'm a writer. So welcome back if you're somebody who already knows me. And my invitation to you is to follow these videos if you dig the content, and if you dig it enough, definitely share it. But I think together we have something to say, and there is the lens of life that can only be understood by somebody who, one, has come out of hiding, but also the other person who is most of the people that I work with in my private practice, which is the person who is secretly carrying the unconscious desire to be seen, and they're either waiting for somebody to beg them to come out, or they, which ultimately proves their worth, or they are waiting for permission to come out. And together, on a one-to-one basis, we will walk them through the discovery of their own authentic truth and to what it feels like to be in their own light. And at the end of that, their light, not my own, guides them to walking themselves home, into coming out of hiding. So that's me in a nutshell. And if you're new, I would love to stay in touch. Tell me what you think about the content for sure, but also go to my website, stacyhoch.com, stacyhoch.com, and sign up for my newsletter, because I typically send these things out via my newsletter rather than just anywhere else. So I hope this was helpful, and remember what you are and what your body is for, because it is your lifelong friend, guys. Like, you can't get out of it. So you might as well enjoy the shit out of it, because you don't want it to scream. Which, by the way, I have a meditation coming out. I'm going to keep you updated on that too, but I have an embodiment meditation that I'm pretty stoked for people to do. So pay attention. All right, guys. I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.